If I asked you who controls the future of humanity, you'd probably say Apple. Or maybe Nvidia. Maybe you think Elon Musk is running the show or some secret government agency hidden in a mountain. But you'd be completely wrong. The entity that actually holds the entire global tech economy by the throat isn't in Silicon Valley. It's not in Wall Street. It's located in a quiet, rainy little town in the Netherlands called Veldhoven. Most people have never even heard of this place. If you walk down the street there, you'd think the most exciting thing happening is a local bakery sale. But inside this town sits a company called ASML. And they have achieved something so absurd, so utterly ridiculous, that it sounds like a movie plot. They have an absolute 100% global monopoly on the single machine required to build every single advanced microchip on Earth. Think about the phone in your hand right now. Think about the crazy AI servers running ChatGPT, the graphics card inside a PlayStation 5, or the guidance systems inside military hardware. None of it can exist without ASML. If this one company's factories randomly shut down tomorrow, humanity's technological progress doesn't just slow down. It literally freezes in its tracks. No more faster iPhones, no more advanced AI, no new graphics cards. Nothing. Apple, Nvidia, Intel, and Samsung would all be sitting around with their multi-trillion-dollar valuations, completely powerless. How did a random European company trap the entire world? Why can't the tech superpowers just build their own versions of these machines? And how did we let the entire global economy depend on a single point of failure? Let's talk about it. To understand why everyone is trapped, we first have to understand what these machines actually do. And don't worry, we aren't doing engineering school stuff here. I'm going to explain this using the simplest logic possible. Microchips are essentially just trillions of microscopic electrical switches called transistors, all packed onto a tiny piece of silicon. Making a chip faster isn't a magical secret. You literally just need to cram more switches onto the same tiny square. But how do you build something that small? You can't use a tiny robotic arm or a pair of tweezers. These switches are smaller than a strand of human DNA. If a single speck of dust falls on the chip during manufacturing, it looks like a literal mountain landed on it and destroys the whole thing. So chip makers use light. It's called photolithography, which is just a fancy word for printing with light. Imagine you have a flashlight, a stencil with a pattern cut into it, and a piece of light-sensitive paper on the wall. You shine the light through the stencil and the pattern prints onto the wall. Easy, right? For decades, the entire tech world used standard deep ultraviolet light to print chips. Companies like Nikon and Canon in Japan were great at making these machines. But around 10 to 15 years ago, the tech industry hit a brutal brick wall. The switches needed to become so small that regular light waves were simply too fat to print them. Think of it like trying to write the entire dictionary on a grain of rice using a giant, fat permanent marker. The ink just bleeds together into a giant black mess. The tech giants realized they needed a light beam that was incredibly sharp, thin, and precise. They needed something called EUV, extreme ultraviolet light. And this is where our story gets crazy. While every other tech company looked at EUV and said, "Nah, that's way too expensive, it's scientifically impossible, let's stick to regular tech," ASML said, "Hold our strip waffles. We're going to spend 20 years and billions of dollars trying to build it." And they actually did it. Everyone else quit. Now ASML is the only kid on the playground with the golden toy. So, what does this golden toy look like? Calling it a machine feels like an insult. It is easily the most complex piece of commercial hardware built by human beings. A single standard ASML EUV machine costs anywhere from $200 million to a mind-melting $400 million for their latest high-NA models. It is the size of a double-decker bus, weighs 180 tons, and contains over 100,000 individual moving parts. To give you an idea of how absurd this thing is, you can't just buy one and have it delivered by FedEx. When a company like TSMC or Intel buys a machine, ASML has to dismantle it, pack it into 40 shipping containers, load it onto 3 entire Boeing 747 cargo planes, fly it across the ocean, and then send a team of specialized ASML engineers to live at the factory for months just to put it back together. Now, let's look at the corporate side of this because this is where the chokehold becomes completely real. Most people think that when Apple designs a new chip for the iPhone, they build it in a secret factory in California. They don't. Apple doesn't actually manufacture their own advanced chips. Neither does Nvidia, AMD, or Qualcomm. They are what the industry calls fabless chip makers. They just design the blueprints on a computer. They take those blueprints and send them to giant factory companies called foundries. The king of all foundries is TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. TSMC makes over 90% of the world's most advanced processors. But here is the catch. TSMC cannot print those designs onto silicon unless they buy the EUV machines from ASML. So the food chain looks like this. Apple and Nvidia go begging to TSMC to make their chips. TSMC goes begging to ASML to buy the machines to make those chips. Look at the power dynamic here. In any normal industry, if a supplier charges too much or has a long waitlist, you just go to their competitor. If you don't want to buy a smartphone from Samsung, you buy an iPhone. But if TSMC, Intel, or Samsung decide they don't want to deal with ASML, they have zero options. There is no plan B. There is no second source. There is no guy down the street making knockoff EUV machines in his garage. You either wait in line and pay ASML their hundreds of millions of dollars per machine, or your tech company is stuck in the dark ages. As we sit here, the demand for these machines is completely off the charts. With a massive AI data center explosion, tech giants are screaming for more processing power and specialized memory. ASML is trying to ramp up shipments to over 60 massive EUV units a year, but the backlog of orders stretching out for the next few years is worth tens of billions of dollars. They are literally printing money faster than their machines can print chips. This brings us to the biggest problem of all, geopolitics. When a single company holds a total monopoly on the world's core infrastructure, they stop being just a business. They become a geopolitical chess piece. The United States government looked at this situation and realized that if China managed to get a fleet of ASML's advanced EUV machines, they could completely catch up and surpass the West in AI, supercomputing, and advanced military tech. So what did the US do? They pressured the Dutch government to step in. Now, by law, ASML is completely banned from exporting their advanced cutting-edge EUV machines to China. Now, you might ask, China has trillions of dollars and some of the smartest scientists on Earth. Why don't they just copy an ASML machine? And that brings us to ASML's ultimate secret weapon, their accidental moat. You see, ASML doesn't actually manufacture all 100,000 parts inside their machines. They are more like the ultimate conductors of a highly exclusive global orchestra. The super-flat mirrors come from Zeiss in Germany. The high-power lasers come from a specialized company in California. Other custom robotic arms and vacuum systems come from highly guarded niche suppliers across Europe and Japan. ASML has spent over 30 years building an ironclad network of exclusive contracts with these suppliers. Many of these smaller supplier companies only sell their parts to ASML. So even if a country or a massive rival tech company spent $100 billion trying to copy ASML, they can't. They would also have to copy Zeiss's mirror factory, the laser company in California, and dozens of other hyper-specialized businesses that have spent decades mastering a single tiny component. You aren't just trying to clone one company, you are trying to clone a hyper-advanced global supply ecosystem that took half a century to build. At the end of the day, we like to think of the tech world as a massive, open playing field where the best innovation wins. We track stock prices, look at fancy product launches, and marvel at the latest AI updates. But when you peel back the corporate marketing and look at the actual physical reality, the entire multi-trillion-dollar digital world is built on a staggeringly fragile foundation. If you want to understand the hidden gears and resource cartels that actually control the global economy without all the boring corporate fluff, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, do you think it's dangerous that a single company has this much power over our future? Thanks for watching the Bottleneck Insights, and I'll see you in the next deep dive.